school improvement plans. And I see the high school's up first.
Just a reminder tonight, as you look ahead on the agenda, the professional development plan budget is item B on this list, and the things that have been presented both at the last board meeting and this meeting are coming from the school improvement, specific to those three buildings, the secondary buildings. In our last meeting, we had the elementary schools and middle school here. All the school improvement goals are aligned to the district comprehensive school improvement plan, and that professional development budget then supports their efforts. So pleased to have them here tonight.
Dr. Pritchard, welcome.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Hi, Jim.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having us. Bring you greetings from Rolla High School. I know the meeting always goes long when all you get the three secondary buildings talking, so we'll try to keep it as concise as we can tonight. Just to talk through a little bit about what we're going to do tonight, and Josh and Amy are going to share some information with you too. First, we're going to look at kind of what we call the daily life at RHS. Now, sometimes when you think of school, at least when I went to school, there was a lot of sit and get. You sat in your chair and the teacher would stand up in front of you and just tell you what you need to know. And there is so much more that goes on than what that is. And so we put together a little video we'll show you here in a bit about just some of the things that go on. Some of the things our students do. We see it every day, but when I watched the video, I was like, wow, we really do a lot of really cool things for our students. And the students are engaged in a lot of what we do. So we'll show you that. We're going to touch a little bit on some numbers with our goals from last year, so we'll have a little review of the 2015-16 goals. We'll talk about the updates for this year and some of the things that we're looking forward to, and then finally we're going to share with you a little bit about transition and where we are. I know you get updates from Kelly quite often, but we'll try to bring you a little bit as well. So we're going to begin with this video, and Nancy, if you'll go ahead and start that. Again, this is just a little bit of things that go on at Rolla High School day to day.
Great.
While she's pulling that up, one addition, you saw the booths being made over is in Mr. Sutter's wood manufacturing class. Those are actually in our upper commons now. Some of you may have
Okay.
seen them, and they look pretty awesome. We're trying to do a little more to that. Okay, when we were developing our goals for this next year, the first thing we did was look back at last year's goals to see how we did, what we need to do better, what we've accomplished in the last year. So the first goal that we have is the APR and DESE requirement that 90% of our students will be here 90% of the time. As you see, it is not met. We were at 89.4 as compared to 89.5 the year before. So it's something we need to continue to work on. This year we are still doing all our daily rewards as far as perfect class attendance, our grade level monthly awards. And so far, our attendance is up every month this year compared to last year. But that doesn't always mean that 90% of your students are there 90% of the time. So obviously, something we're continuing to work on. One thing this goal has helped us to do is continue to look at individual students. Every week, our principals and counselors, we meet. We have an ongoing list of students that we look at individually, different things that they might need. It might be something going on at home or attendance problems or grade problems. And we look and see if we're giving them the right intervention or the right thing to meet that student. Some of them graduate off the list, some of them continue on the list, but this has really helped us look at each student and see what their attendance is. One of the students that we did meet about at the beginning of the year regarding attendance is here with us tonight. And we're very proud of him. He's a new student with us. His name is Jarquan Sanders, and he's going to speak to you for a little bit.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Good evening.
My name is Jarquan Sanders. I moved here at the beginning of the year from Hickman High in Columbia. The last year of my life, I got into a lot of trouble, and I wanted to play ball, but I didn't come to school, so I missed a lot of practice, and I got kicked off, which made me thought to myself I didn't have anything to lose, and I just started doing dumb stuff. So when I came down here, I didn't trust anyone. I didn't want to make friends. When people try to talk to me like Dr. Pritchett, I had told them I didn't really care what they said and wasn't here to make friends, but they wouldn't leave me alone, especially Mr. Smith. Everything has changed for me. At this time of year, last year, I never thought I would be a part of a basketball team or enjoy coming to school, but now I enjoy coming to Rolla High School every day. People here care about me and happy to see me.
Oh,
Very good.
very good.
We are very proud of Jarquan. We're glad to have him and look forward to continue to have him. The next goal that we had was our technology goal. We wanted to further integrate technology in the classroom to increase the availability to our students for it. We did feel like we met that for last year, but that's going to be a goal that we're always trying to meet and always looking to revise. So right here we have kind of what we currently have in our building. We have 417 devices. You can see kind of the rest of the numbers there. This is something that obviously we're going to be really cognizant of this year because we're getting 300 more students next year in addition to our regular sophomores, so it's something we have to really put an effort to increase that. Last year our teachers did a really good job of using student devices, whether it's through QR codes, the use of Twitter, even just Google Classrooms. I tell you, one time I went in a class, I was going to talk to a student in a pride time about getting an English assignment done. And I walk in there and she's on her phone. And I'm like, what are you doing on your phone? You need to get your English assignment done. Oh, I'm doing this paper right now, Mr. Smith. Oh, okay. I can't type a paper on my phone, but they can. They use Google Classroom on it all the time. And that's something, as our next bullet says there, the Google Classroom integration last year, it's all throughout the building. The students are just used to it. The teachers have really bought into it and use it. Students all the time are asking about things that are on the Google Classroom, whether it's the calendar. The teacher can post all the assignments on the calendar so the student can go back to it so they can get all the resources they need at night for the homework. It's just been a great thing that has really spread throughout the building. The last big thing in technology last year is all our students got access to email. Every single one of them has a Gmail account. That helps them collaborating with each other. They can collaborate with teachers in the evening in a safe way for everybody. They can also collaborate with us. Sometimes we get things from students whenever they may not want to come face-to-face with us or something that they don't want to be seen telling us or showing us, they might send us an email through their Gmail account. Just another benefit that obviously a lot of things go on with technology, but those are kind of the highlights from last year that we did. So now I'm going to hand over to Dr. Herman for the next goal.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Well, in an effort to make students more college and career ready, we try to provide students with as much opportunities as we can with dual credit, dual enrollment, and AP courses. So this allows students to experience college level rigor still with the support in high school setting, which is very valuable to them. It also allows teachers to have a connection to the college experience and understand what technology and things like that are going to be needed for students when they go to the college level. This chart right here illustrates for you the dual credit enrollment for students from 2014 through 2015-16, as well as AP enrollment. Now, dual credit enrollment means that course is offered at the high school. That means one of our teachers is teaching that course, and then they enroll at the same time at one of our universities that we work with collectively. AP courses is an AP class that is a college level rigor, and they'll be taking an exam at the end of the year. And as you can see, numbers have significantly increased, especially in the dual credit enrollment. We currently have 13 AP course offerings. We added AP Biology and AP Government this year. Next year, we plan to add AP Statistics and AP Language and Composition. So we also have dual enrollment opportunities. Now that's different than dual credit. Dual enrollment means a student may be attending the high school, but they will leave the high school during the school day, or maybe in the evening they're attending a college class, maybe at S&T or Drury or something like that. So that's an opportunity for them as well. During the past 2 years, we've seen 142 more students getting credit through dual credit courses. So that means a course, again, that they're taking at the high school that our teachers are qualified to offer that dual credit. And this is a result of the RTI offering classes, RTC offering classes, and the high school offering classes with some of our universities like Missouri Baptist, Drury, East Central, Ozark Technical College. And as you can see from the list up there, it's quite a variety. I mean, you can be taking something from AP Calculus, database systems and structures, fire and rescue, and still be receiving college credit at the same time. So it's quite an opportunity for our students to do that and still have the supports of the high school. We continue to improve student scores and performance. When you look at our scores in regards to the top 10 by 20, we are on target or approaching in all areas. So we're very proud of that. This first chart here represents proficient and advanced students that are scoring proficient and advanced in English for 3 years, and you can see there has been significant improvements in there. 85% of our students are scoring at advanced or proficient last year, and we are on target according to the metric index. The state is asking for 385.7, and we have a score of 395.4, so we're doing very well with English. Math, we're very proud of that as well. They are approaching target with math. As you can see, we're showing growth with 61%. Our students, 61% of our students are at advanced or proficient. And with this, the state target index is 392, and we're currently at 347. Finally, on this chart, you'll see social studies and science. Science is on your left there. Both social studies and science are above the 220 target. On the left, science, you'll see that the blue bar on the left represents the state, and the orange bar on the right represents our scores. So on the right is social studies, and you can see that we're there as well. So very proud of our scores here.
So any coach, you know, is you're happy with the win or you're happy with doing well, but you're not satisfied, and that's where we are with our goals. You notice that most of them we put met, but revise, or they're ongoing for that reason. And so we're pleased with the progress that we're making, but we're not satisfied with where we need to be. So that's where we continue to push forward and try to find strategies that will push us a little bit more. I'm going to talk a little bit now about kind of how we're what we're doing to revise some of those goals for the coming year, I do want to direct your attention in front of you, and I see a lot of you saw these. I laid this on the table. There's a copy of the goals for this year that we have, and those are certainly on our website for anyone who wants to go out and get those in the public. Also, the placemat that we have that ties our goals and our strategies back to the district goals. So we have that there for you as well to look at. And rather than going through it word for word, I'm just going to touch on some highlights. The first goal is, again, the 90-90. And you know, Jarquan kind of spoke a little bit, and, you know, certainly what came out of our discussions, he is just one example of the discussions that we have internally about our students. And they don't always know that we're talking about them, obviously. He didn't know we were talking about him, but we were talking about ways, whether it's a teacher, whether it's an athletic team, whether it's a club, you know, whether it's a subject, how can we touch these kids and how can we get them involved? And again, he's just one of the many examples that we have, but we continue to do that because, again, we go back to if they're not here, we can't teach them. They can't learn if they're not here. And so we have to find those avenues. And so, again, one of the tweaks that we made with our goals for this coming year, our goal last year was that 90% of our students are there 90% of the time. Our staff felt like we should change that to all of our students are here 90% of the time or more. And so is that a lofty goal? Absolutely. But that's what it should be because we shouldn't let any of them off the hook. And so that's one of the things. I've listed there on the screen a little bit just some of the things we continue to do and that we continue to review and revamp. Link Crew continues to be a good tie-in for students to get plugged in with students. And again, as you heard Jarquan say, you know, as he knew that people cared about him and knew that people were there, then he started wanting to come. And that's what Link Crew does, is it ties student to student. Not everybody has the principal hounding down them all the time, and trying to get to know them. But Link Crew, that student to student is important. The Friday advisory program, again, where it ties the teacher to the student, and then we continue to come up with different intervention plans that help. And whether it's you know, there's a need for clothing or a need for homework or a need for equipment or supplies, we try to attack those through those intervention programs. So again, our goal there is to have all of our students hit that 90% mark. The technology goal, again, you know, obviously you meet that, but you can't get rid of it. At least we aren't, because you know, that's the wave that we're in the future and where we're going. So we kind of tweaked this a little bit to really focus on the increased technology instruction that's going on. We've had discussions internally about one-to-one, and you saw the number there. We've got 400 and some odd devices. Right now we have 900 students. At some point, we're going to get to the point where we have as many devices as students, and what are we going to do at that point? And, you know, we've talked with technology, talked with Dr. Zaus and Craig and Kelly, and, you know, we're trying to figure that out so that it doesn't just get there, and then all of a sudden we have to say, oh, what do we do? And so that's part of what we're going to do over the next year and the next couple of years. And then another thing that came out of our discussions with our staff was that the technology training that we have, you know, we need to make sure that we at times focus on things that are unique to certain fields. So science always comes to mind because science will tell me, they'll say, we have all kinds of cool equipment. It's not a computer maybe, but it's a computer in its own right, but it's not a laptop. But we could use training on that. And so we're always looking for things that we can do in terms of technology with subject-specific technology, if that makes sense. And so that's one of the things that we're going to focus on this year as a staff, identifying those things and then tying them into what we're doing and how we can do them. The third goal, again, goes back to student improvement, improving scores, making sure kids are college and career ready. One of the things that we have talked about and we're excited about with the freshmen coming next year, the freshmen, when they're in 8th grade, they write a 4-year plan. And there's a little bit of a disconnect between doing it at the junior high and then when they get to us. And it's not the junior high's fault, it's not ours, it's just kind of in the transition because they write them there, they come to us, the counselors really look at them, but our teachers don't really have a lot, we're beginning to get more of that. And so we're excited about the opportunity to having the freshmen there at the high school, that they'll write that at the 8th grade at the junior high, but then as soon as they get there, they're going to start that 4-year plan with us, with all of us, and we can kind of monitor that better and make sure kids are keeping that at the forefront of what they're trying to do and where they're trying to go. And so that's one of the things. The bottom bullet there on the screen talks about value-added feedback. One of the things we discussed in our staff group when we developed our goals was that one of the ways that you can really improve student learning is by giving value-added feedback. And so as a staff, we're really focusing on that this year, that if you get something returned, it doesn't just say good job on it or that was good. We're going to tell you what was good, or we're going to tell you more about how to improve it. And so because that's really where the learning takes place, is in the feedback. And so that's one of the things that we're going to focus on this year as well. Finally, teacher professional development and professional support. Our staff really appreciates this, and they want to make sure that we keep a focus on that, as do we. Giving those guys training that they need, whether it's out of district or in district. One of the things that we're kind of focusing on a little bit this year is, again, internal experts, people that can teach other people. And we've done some of that, especially through technology, because we've had such a technology-focused training that, you'll go next door and someone will be teaching someone else something they learned in a focus group or in their subject training. And so that's one of the things that we're really focusing on this year, again, in terms of professional development. It's easy to go out, and there are some really good stuff when you go out of district, but we have a wealth of people here in district that we can use and offer support to, and so that's really one of the things that we're focusing on in terms of our goals. Questions about the goals? I'm going to move on to something else, but any questions about the goals?
Good. Everybody?
Good.
Very good.
Finally, I want to just talk a little bit about transition with you. Obviously, if you drive by the high school, you see the visual things that are happening, the brick and mortar. I noticed yesterday, and I had it, and I'm sure it's been up there for a few days, but the brick on the outside of the wrestling gyms really, I was like, man, it looks nice. I'm kind of, I get more excited every time I see something else going up. But obviously, construction is going. I'll let Kelly tell you whether it's going well or on time or all that. I'll let him be the determining on that. But from our standpoint, it's going, and it's going well. I shared with you a month or 2 months ago when I was here that, we really haven't had too many disruptions or ill effects from the construction in terms of our building. That continues to be true. We've had a little bit of issue with dust and cutting into the wall when they've tied the roof in, new building to old. But other than that, a few fans at the end of the hall and, a few of us waving the towel. It's been pretty good. So the construction part of it has still been pretty seamless so far. A couple of the things that we're doing, I put up there again. Just the top bullet is August 2017. That's where we're looking at. Just to remind folks in the community and to keep in front of us that's the drop dead date, so to speak, in terms of us wanting to be in and ready to go. One of the things that we're doing, and again, I shared this with you a month or two ago, enrollment numbers are going to be the key for us at the high school. And in some ways, I feel bad because in some ways we're holding up everybody else down the line because of teacher movement. But we just can't do that until we get enrollment numbers. Mid to late January, we anticipate having a pretty good handle on that. We'll do enrollment during the middle part of January. So again, we're forecasting into January. We should have a better idea of teaching and who's going to be where and those kind of things. In the meantime, we continue, and we're planning more departmental meetings with the different departments to talk through questions that they have, issues that they think about. We've challenged them all. Again, I told you this before, I challenged them all. If you think of something, let me know, because it's either something we've talked about or it's something we need to be talking about. And so that's the only way we can do it, is collectively. We will talk with them some in those meetings about packing and moving and all those things that go with that, room assignments, all those things that are important that you really just can't do until at this point. And we're at that point. I go home at night, and sometimes I'll think about something. I'll think, oh, man, that's one more thing I need to add to the list because that's here. The other thing, and I'll close with this, the other thing that we're really going to begin to focus on is the student and parent transition. I shared with you before that I've not heard as much apprehension out of our parents and our students. However, there is some, and we want to make sure that we are at least able to head off as much of that as possible. We had actually principals advisory today, and last month and the beginning of this month, we kind of wrapped it up. But one of the questions that I spoke with them about and asked them was to think back when they were a sophomore and coming to the high school, what made them most nervous. And we started developing a list of things so that we can try to figure out ways to attack that for our 8th and 9th graders who will be joining us next year. And so that's been some real interesting conversation from those kids, and very helpful because they live it. We anticipate what we think is apprehensive or makes them nervous, but they live it. Some of them had just lived it a couple months ago. They transitioned, over the summer, and so that's been very helpful. So that's where our focus is right now, but again, we're excited about it, and at this time I'll take any questions that you might have, if there are any.
Thanks. Any questions from the board?
Thank you.
You're good.
Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Good job. Thank you.
Thanks for coming and speaking. Sometimes
Good
that's
job,
tough,
Jaquan.
tough
Thank
to
you.
get up
Thanks,
there.
Jaquan.
You did great.
RTI, RTC is next on the docket.
That's a good reminder of.
Yeah. Well done. Wait, did you say what year he is?
I was wanting. Thank you.
What you got?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening.